Hi, I'm Bobby and today I'm going to be doing my October TBR. So in this video I'm going to be showing you my TBR game, but before I do that I want to quickly go through the books that I've read in September. So the first book I want to mention, technically I finished at the end of August, but I didn't mention in my last TBR video, and that is The Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson. So I did find this book a little disappointing. I think I gave it like 3.5 stars in the end. I was in the middle of a reading slump whilst I was trying to read this book, and I think that had a big effect on my overall opinion of the story. But, you know, I just didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. Honestly, my favourite book in that series was the first book, and after that one I was just a bit disappointed. Then the first book I read in September was a graphic novel called Morning Glories. I read volume 1 and hopefully I'll be reading volumes 2 and 3 soonish because I really enjoyed it. I did read it in my reading vlog that I posted a few weeks ago, so you can check that out if you like. Yeah, I really enjoyed that book. I enjoyed the story, the characters were cool. There was like lots of mystery and intrigue, and it really held my attention. The artwork was really cool. I liked it. It was kind of simple, but it was like really nice and really pretty. So hang on. So I no longer have the first volume. I've returned that one, and I've got the second one. So this is my own example. But so the cover artwork is quite nice. It's quite pretty, and yeah, so the cover inside, it's got some really nice artwork in there. I don't think this is spoilery, but I haven't read it yet, so. But it's a bit gory, people get stabbed and shot and things. So it's a very gory story, so be prepared for that if you're considering reading this book. But personally, I really enjoyed it. I think I ended up giving it about 4 stars because it was a lot of fun. I then listened to Gone Girl on Audible. I really had a lot of fun listening to the story. I don't listen to audiobooks very often, but this one was so good. Like, the performance was amazing. So this is a story about characters called Nick and Amy, and so they had a guy and a girl doing the characters, and then they're telling the whole story from each perspective throughout the whole thing. I feel like most people know about Gone Girl now, and I already knew the spoilers for it before I started listening to the story. But just briefly, it's about a guy who comes home to find that his wife has gone missing. So yeah, sometimes the characters were quite annoying, but I guess that was like making them realistic. Like they're just assholes for no reason. But I guess that's people, isn't it? Oh yeah, and then I'm still kind of bothered by the injustice of the whole story. It's just so messed up. Like, it just made me really, really uneasy, and it really troubled my sense of trust. And I haven't got very good trust anyway, so that was fun. But the performance was amazing. It was really entertaining the whole way through. I was so engaged in that story, and I just loved hearing 2 different characters' voices. It was so good. It was so good. I highly recommend the audiobook for this story. So I don't know if my camera angle changed just now, but I did just knock the camera really badly, so sorry about that. So then the next 2 books I want to talk about are ones that I've started and didn't really get very far with, to be honest. So I might continue them into October, but we'll see. So it is only the 27th when I'm filming this, so I might still have time to finish one of these, but maybe, I don't know. So I then started reading Stardust by Neil Gaiman. I'm only 45 pages into this less than 200 page book. It has taken me, honestly, nearly the whole month to even get that far. Like, that's how little free time I have nowadays. But in any case, I'm finding this narrative quite slow. The first chapter especially was, it was so slow, like I just didn't care. So then I got to the second chapter on page 27, and I mean, I started picking up a little bit from there. So I definitely prefer Tristan to Dunstan, so that's definitely an improvement. And it's getting more interesting now that he's starting his journey. I still don't really know what's going to happen. I like the fairy character, she seems really cool. But yeah, I am finding it really slow pace, and I'm considering giving up on it, but I think I'm going to keep trying until at least the end of chapter 2. I might try chapter 3 as well, and then just see how I feel. But I'm not sure this one's for me. I don't know. The other book which I might be more likely to finish in the next few days is Nyan Keys. This is a manga, and I don't know a lot about it, except it's about people who can turn into cats. And it's a gang of people who can turn into cats. I think it's about a gang. I don't really know, a friend recommended this to me, and it's just completely weird, which I gather is sort of like the theme on most manga. But you know, I'm only just getting into manga at the moment, so I'm willing to give this a really good go. I've got a few pages in, like, I've read this much of it. I don't know, they don't number these pages, so. But yeah, I like it, it's interesting, it's different, it's quite a bit of fun. And I think it's just a bit of nonsense, but it's, you know, it's entertaining, and that's what I want from stories. So I might be able to finish this one quite soon, hopefully. And then there are 2 more books that I haven't finished. So I'm listening to the audiobook for A Place Called Perfect by Helena Duggan. And I'm also reading the ebook for The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. I'm really enjoying both of these books. A Place Called Perfect is a little simple for me, maybe. It is middle grade, but it's definitely aimed more at like 8-year-olds. So I felt like I guessed the plot from the first chapter, basically. But an 8-year-old would probably really enjoy it. So that story is basically about this girl and her parents who moved to this town called Perfect, where everything is supposed to be perfect, except it is run by these evil twins called Edward and George, and everything is a little bit creepy. All the people in the town have gone blind for some reason, and they're trying to work out what it is, and that's why they moved there, is so that... What's the character's name? Violet. Is so that Violet's dad can help them with working out why people are blind. It's fun. I like the characters, but like definitely aimed at a lower age group. The other book, The Girl Who Drank the Moon, is recently become quite popular, I think. It's about this baby who is taken in by a witch, and she's accidentally given moonlight to drink instead of starlight. And moonlight gives magical powers to people, and so this girl sort of grows up and turns into a witch. And I think I'm about 1/4 through the book, and the girl is about 5 years old, and this is a really fun story. There's nothing spooky about it at all. It's a middle grade story about a witch who raises a child on her own. Well, on her own with a swamp monster and a tiny dragon who thinks he's actually really big. It is so cute. Not a lot has happened so far. Like, it's fun. There's loads of stuff happening, but it's not really got anywhere in the plot. I don't know. But I'm really enjoying it, and I can't wait to get further with this book. I'm just finding it a little bit slow going because I'm not reading it very much. Like, I'm preferring to listen to an audiobook on the train rather than reading my ebook. But it's fine, we'll get there. I really enjoy the story, and I just can't wait to find out more about it. Really, really enjoying this book. So those are the books that I have finished or at least started recently. Now it is time for me to introduce my game, and I'll explain everything to you. Now it's time for me to introduce my game. So this is my TBR game. I haven't quite got a name for it yet, but I'm thinking of something along the lines of Get Book. It's a little combination of a couple of different games that I've seen on YouTube. It is more or less the style of a Monopoly board. So we've got our Go square, and then we've got other sort of event squares around in the corners. These colourful squares around here, each colour dictates a different genre that I'd have to read. So 2 other important things about this game are the challenge cards and the TBR mug. So these challenge cards give different prompts for how to choose a book. These are just little random ideas for how I'm going to decide what I'm going to read. So there's a whole selection of them here, and there are squares around the boards that say challenge card, and then I will pick up one of these and choose a book based on one of these prompts. Then the TBR mug is filled with loads of little folded up pieces of paper, and each one just has titles of books that I own. So like this one says Wilder Girls, although technically I don't own that one, but I have it as a sample on Kindle. And that's just another way of me just randomly choosing a book to read. So if we go back to the board, so basically I'll start on Go and I'll roll the dice and travel around the board. So whatever square I land on, that's how I'm going to choose my book. So say I landed on a pink square, I'd look at the key and it says pink is young adult fiction. I will admit now that some of these colours are a little confusing. Like the pink and the red look very similar. And then there are 2 shades of blue, like you can see here, that are very similar as well. And I find that a little confusing, but I'm just going to work with it for now. So I'll travel around the board, and then we've got the challenge card squares where I'll pick up a challenge card. This corner says 2 times challenge card, and so I'll just take 2 cards, and that's just basically giving me an extra book to read that month. The next corner says TBR mug, so I'll specifically have to pick a book from the mug. This top corner says reread, so I can choose any books that I've read before that I really enjoyed, and it's just another chance to visit a story that I know I love. So if I land on go, then I have to take a challenge card. And then if I land on go or pass go, that means I have to add an extra roll to that month. Another way for adding extra rolls is punishments. If I don't read 1 or more books on my TBR, then the next month I will add 1 roll. So no matter how many books I don't finish, I'm only adding 1, because I know that if I add like 3 books, it's just going to become impossible for me. And then my dice I'm going to be using is a 10-sided dice, so it is the numbers 0 to 9. If I land on 0, then I will have to choose a title out of my TBR mug. Every month I will begin with 5 rolls. Then I will be adding the punishments and any that I have for going around the board completely. If I manage to complete all the books on any month's TBR, then I will just choose my next book out of the TBR mug. Okay, so I think that's as much as you need to know. It might start making more sense once I start playing, so let's go. So the board is all set up and ready to play. We've got my counter, this figure of Robin, ready on the go square. I've got my TBR jar and my challenge cards set up. So now it is time to play. So the first roll is a 5. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And our first roll is a challenge card. So that is a TBR mug pick. So that means I need to take 1 book from here, take up a book title, and whatever book it is, that's what I have to read. It says Rat Queens, which is a graphic novel. On my first roll I landed on a challenge card, and the challenge card said pick a book from the TBR mug. So I picked a book from the TBR mug, and it was Rat Queens Volume 1. Rat Queens is a graphic novel about a girl gang made up of a selection of fantasy creatures who the book describes them as death-dealing battle maidens for hire. There is an elf, a dwarf, a human and a smidgen, which sounds quite fun. And they go and fight loads of different fantasy creatures. So this looks like a lot of fun. Graphic novel is going to be so fast for me to read, so hopefully I'll just get that one out in like the first weekend. And then that's be like another book off my list, and it's gonna be so good. I'm thinking this book should be like very like girl power centered, but also like it's written by a man, so who knows. But I'm very excited to read this. I've been putting this book off for a few years now, mostly 'cause the title, let's be real. Rat Queens doesn't sound too appealing, but then I found out it's about, you know, a gang of girls who go and kill loads of fancy creatures, and it just sounds like really epic, you know? So you can see some of the artwork here. I quite like this book. It's not too different from Morning Glories, which is quite like realistic art style, even whilst being like just illustrations. But I am very excited to get reading this book. So for the second roll, it is a 9. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is dark blue, which is a fantasy pick. For my second role, I landed on fantasy. For this book, I've chosen one that I have as an ebook, and that is A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. This is the second book in the Shades of Magic trilogy. I read the first book a couple of months ago, and I really enjoyed it. I love the characters, especially Lila. Oh, she has my heart so much. I love the magic, I love the universe. It's so much fun. There's so much mystery in it, and you just never know what's going to happen next. And the characters are so interesting. I love the dynamic of them together. And there is such a wonderful amount of magic. I enjoyed the first book, and I can't wait to go on to the second book. I think it's going to be so good. So in the first book, we learn about the 4 Londons: red, grey, white and black. Red London is full of people who can do magic. Grey London is like our world, where there is no magic and it seems normal. White London has some magic, but I don't really remember White London very much. Like, it wasn't prominent in the first book, from what I can remember. And then Black London has just been cut off from the whole world, and like everyone's banned from going there. It's impossible to get there. So there are these 4 parallel Londons in different realities, and our main character Kel is one of really few people who can travel between these worlds. Like I said, Lila is my favourite character. She is so clever and vivacious. She's so fierce and cunning, and she's just so much fun. Like, she's really unpredictable. She is a thief from Grey London, and I think she wanted to become a pirate or something. And then she met Kel and ended up getting dragged along on this adventure to go and find a magic artifact, or recover the magic artifact. I was kind of sad about her ending, but like really excited for what would happen to her in the sequel. So I can't wait to see just where she goes, what she does. I think she's going to be so cool. I loved her before. I think I'll still love her again. Okay, and now for role number 3 is an 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that shade of green is a middle grade. So for my third role, I landed on middle grade, and for this one I'm being a little bit cheeky. So there's a book coming out like mid to late October that I'm really excited to read, and that is Hollowpox by Jessica Townsend. It is the 3rd book in the Morrigan Crow series, and before then I want to reread definitely the 2nd book, but maybe also the 1st one. I really enjoyed the 1st one. I don't really remember the 2nd one, which is why I definitely want to read it. So in the 1st book, Morrigan Crow is this 11-year-old girl who's been told her whole life that she is cursed. Anything bad that happens is blamed on her, like bad weather, broken windows, someone dies, all her fault. Part of her curse, she is told that she is going to die on her 11th birthday. But on her 11th birthday, she is whisked away to the land of Nevermore by this man called Jupiter North. I love Jupiter. He is so cool. I love his power. It's just amazing. I want his power. But I can't remember if it was a secret in the 1st book, so I'm just not going to mention it now. But I loved it, and I want it. So when she reaches Nevermore, Morrigan is put through these trials in order to enter the Wondrous Society, which is like the elite people with these special powers. It's not necessarily magic, but they have some sort of special ability where they can like read minds or control animals. So many different weird like skills that these people have. She is like thrown into this competition, and she doesn't know what her power is. She's just told to wait until the end. So we're following Morrigan as she's going through all of these trials in this crazy world with all these different crazy people. It is so much fun. This is a middle grade fantasy, and it is amazing. Like, it's so good. It's one of my favourite fantasy books I've ever read. Like, there's so much charm and humour in this story. The characters are so much fun. The world is described so well, so vividly. It's just like, it's beautiful, it's magical. I can't wait to go back into this series. I've been anticipating the new release of Hollowpox for months. Like, it was supposed to come out in August, and then it got affected by everything that's going on, and now it's not coming out till mid-October. It's stressing me. I've been waiting for this for months. I need the sequel. So I still haven't decided if I'm going to read the first one again, because I read it last year when Wondersmith was about to come out. I might just read Wondersmith for when Hollowpox comes out, and then I'll read Hollowpox when the next book comes out. It's supposed to be a 6-book series. I'm gonna love the whole thing. It's so good. I love Morrigan, I love Jupiter. Fen. I like Fen. Talking cat. Love it. She's like human-sized cat who talks. It's so good! And her best friend Hawthorne is a dragon rider, which is cool. It's got dragons. There's so much magic. It's so much fun. It's so cool. I think I'm just gonna read the second book. I'm not sure. I probably only have time to read the second book, so I'll just do that. We'll see. But I'd really like to read the third book this month, but I'm not sure I'm gonna have time, so I might just put it on next month. We'll see. This one's like an iffy one, but like, I'm gonna read one of these 3 books. And then for roll number 4, that is a 9 again. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And on orange, which is historical fiction. For my 4th roll, I landed on historical fiction. And for this book, I chose The Prestige by Christopher Priest. I've seen the film, never read the book. Apparently the book has a different ending to the film, so I'm intrigued to see that. So basically, this is set in the Victorian era, and it is about 2 stage illusionists who are in like this fierce battle over who's going to be the best. As far as I know from the movie, something really tragic happens to one of them at the beginning of the film, and it's uncertain whether it was because of the other one, and this is what sort of sets off their feud. That was really vague. I don't want to cause any spoilers or anything. The film was really good, really mysterious, so much fun. And I'm hoping it's going to be quite different. Like, I know adaptations are always different anyway, and yeah, I heard the ending was going to be different. So I think it's going to be fun and interesting, and is definitely sort of on the spooky side for this month. So I am really quite interested to read this book. I received this as a birthday present a couple of years ago, and I just haven't got around to picking it up yet. I was looking for this book in shops for months and just ended up asking someone else to get it for me because I couldn't be dealing. And then I just never read it. But I think it's going to be good. It's quite mysterious. Sort of sci-fi fantasy mystery. Yeah, the film was cool. Hopefully the book will be as well. So then the 5th and final roll. Got a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that is pink, so that is a young adult. And then for my 5th and final roll, I landed on young adult. And for this book, I went for Coraline by Neil Gaiman. Despite struggling with a different Neil Gaiman book before, still gonna try and read another Neil Gaiman. I've seen the movie of this book too. I really enjoyed it. I don't really remember it. This is about a girl called Coraline who moves house with her parents, and in the new house she discovers this like secret passageway into a parallel world, and she finds that her parents have got big old buttons for eyes. It's quite spooky, and I think the cat was relevant, but I can't really remember why. So this book is quite mysterious and magical as well. I'm really looking forward to reading it. It's only a short book, and hopefully I'll be able to cope with Neil Gaiman's writing in this one. If I can't, I might just give up on Neil Gaiman altogether, because, you know, I read American Gods by Neil Gaiman a few years ago. Well, I didn't finish it. I got like halfway through it and then quit. I just couldn't cope with it at the age of 18. I'm really thinking I ought to give up on Neil Gaiman. I don't care how much other people like him or his writing or anything. I just don't think it's for me. But I'm going to give it one last go. One more go before I give up completely. And I think this is going to be a really good book. This book is definitely quite spooky and is so good for the season. I'm really looking forward to reading it. And I'm just hoping that I can just get to grips with the writing this time. So this is the stack of books I'm going to read, plus one ebook for A Gathering of Shadows. And I'm still not sure about, you know, which one of these two I'm going to actually get to. But these are the books I'm going to be reading for this month, and I think it's a really good selection. Like, they all look so much fun. There's so much fantasy here, but like easy fantasy, I think. I hope. I don't think it's too intimidating. They're all fairly short books. So I'm really, really looking forward to seeing how this month goes. So that's it for this video. If you've read any of these books before, just drop us a message and let me know what you think of them. Any opinions on the game, drop them down in the comments as well. I had a lot of fun filming this video and I really hope you enjoyed it as well. I hope that the rules weren't too confusing for you. I hope I explained them really well. So I've got my Instagram, GoodReads, and Twitter down below. I don't use all of them very often, but if you want to message me on any of them, feel free. And any recommendations you have, any books you're reading this month, let us know. I'm really excited to see what sort of spooky books you're going to be reading. I didn't really get too spooky with my choices this month, but I'm not really into spooky too much, so we'll see. So fingers crossed that we all have a good reading month, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!